Hey Otter fam, we're back today. We're getting ready to do some work on Ray's truck and see if we can't get that back of the cab put on. And this is going to be a project because it's a Suburban and we're putting a Chevy truck back cab on. There's definitely some differences in design between a CrewCab cab or a truck cab and a Suburban body or cab roof. There's a handful of things we saw that we found. I'll voice over the video. It was pretty noisy, it was loud, a lot of air hammering, a lot of drilling spot welds. There's a lot of drilling and grinding and cutting and sawzalling involved in this. So we'll see how it goes, but I mean it should go good. We'll get it on there. We aren't going to get it like mounted, but we would like to at least get it on there to where we can see how it's going to fit, see what problems we're going to run into. We're really shooting from the hip, and we'd like to leave it as together as possible. We'd like to leave the Suburban as together as possible, and we don't want to cut it right through the roof and the floor because we don't want to worry about alignment and door jams and getting all that welded back up. We'd rather change the skin of the back of a truck cab onto the Suburban, and that way it doesn't screw with the door alignments. It doesn't weaken the whole body because the body offers a lot of structure to the frame itself. We are running a roll cage, but I mean we're kind of doing this as a test project to see kind of how if it is possible and how much labor it would be to build a CrewCab actual pickup. With the off-road truck, we're not too critical on dents, dings, rust, that sort of stuff. I mean we have reasonable body parts. It's not show quality. It's not going to be show quality. It's an off-road truck. It's going to get dings. It's going to get scrapes. It's going to get dents. It's going to get muddy. So we're just kind of a beta test on how this works. Ray's wanted to do it for a long time. I'm interested in it. So we're going to get at it, see how far we can get on this, and see what trouble we run into. So let's see what it looks like. Alright guys, what we got here is basically this is just a little bit of an overview. It's pretty noisy in the shop, so I didn't do any audio. But as you can see, we've got most of the inner structure out of the back of the cab. We took the shelf out, we've drilled out 1,000,000 spot welds to this point. As you can see, it's basically just a bare shell. We don't have any of the door jambs in it. And it has the inner structure of the roof still in it for the back of the cab. It's nothing too exotic, but the other thing worth noting is the bottom brace for the Suburban is still in the Suburban. We're going to try to see if we can't match that up to the back of the cab as well. The rear part of the door jams for the Suburban are still in there. We're going to see if we can make them up to the back of the Chevy truck cab. It looks like we can. We want to try and keep it all as structurally sound as possible, so we don't want to cut it through the doors and re-weld everything because it's not going to be nearly as tough as it could be. So we'll check back in here in a minute and see what else we got. I'm back giving you a little update on Ray's CrewCab Suburban off-road truck. I am filthy. It's been a long day in here. We've got a ton of work done, you know, and so we're at the stopping point for today, and I'll show you what we got. All right, we got the back of the Chevy truck cab on there. We did a bunch of trimming and cutting and just really rough fitting to see how it fits and how it works. It does fit pretty well. There is a handful of things that we got to do. It's literally just kind of set on there. It's not body work. It's not nothing. It's just set on there. But we use the inner structure off the Suburban still down in here, and we drilled out all the spot welds up the seam here, and we took out this structure out of the cab, and we did the same thing on the inside here, and it does flex enough to get on there. It was tight, but none of this stuff is in there at all. It's not even screwed in. It's just right over the edge and held. We still got to finish fitting it. On the outside, it's kind of about the same thing. We still got to finish fitting it and getting it to where it matches up right. But it does fit pretty good, and it's just like I said, set on there. This cab was rough to start with. It's going to be an off-road truck, so I mean, we're going to leave it rough. This cab corner was rusty, so we ended up cutting it out of there. Had some damage. It had been hit right here anyways. But like I said, for an off-road truck, it'll be great. Same thing with this side. You know, it's just set on there. We got to get this all fitted, rolled in, welded, you know, that sort of stuff. There was a couple big differences we ran into on the inside here. Let's see if I can show it to you. If you look at the inner structure above the door there, it's really tall on a Suburban because they have the raised roof. And the trucks are not like that. They have a tin inner structure, and even the square body trucks have a tin inner structure, as you can see, like right here. And so this is usually normal on a CrewCab, but not on a Suburban. Suburban has bows, and they have a lot more structure on the upper side here. So we're gonna have to figure out how to mesh that in. The roof is gonna get reskinned because it is a significant amount higher, and the shape's a little different, and I'll show you that right now. So as you can see, the differences in the Suburban versus the truck. This would be the same as what a CrewCab truck is. The Suburban roof has a flatter side here. It has a sharp body line here, and then it goes up to this hump, the raised roof. And the CrewCab trucks don't have that. So we're gonna have to go in and we're gonna have to fix this closer to what a CrewCab is. It's not gonna be an exact CrewCab, but it's going to be closer to a CrewCab. And so Ray's got some pretty exciting things planned on what he's going to do with that. But like I said, we've got about 6 hours into drilling spot welds, separating all the parts and pieces off the truck, getting it to where we can at least mock it up. It's not nowhere near right at this point. It's just on there to see how it fits. We've kind of just proved concept with this whole deal, and then from there we're gonna go in, make it right, do a bunch more fitting and work, and then go from there. But I figured I'd give you a little update on what we've been doing today. Here's a bunch of parts that we've took out of it. Like this was the back part of the cab and the back part of the floor. And below it is the brace that goes to the back of the cab from the floor. We ended up using the Suburban factory brace that was in the Suburban, and we're going to match the floor to it where we took it out of here. Here's all the pieces of the roof and all the rest of the stuff we've cut up. Here's the front half of the roof off the pickup, and it was bent, and the truck had been wrecked really hard, and so this cab wasn't any good, and so it was a perfect one to cut up. It had rust in the bottom here, it had dings and dents, and it had been wrecked real hard in the front, and the cab was bent, the roof of the cab was bent. So it was a perfect candidate to do exactly what Ray did, and I think it fits well, and I think it looks good. And so we got to finish the rest of the fabrication to get it on there, get it fit right, get the body lines to match up, you know, the rest of that stuff, and then we can start working with the roof. But it does fit well, and it goes on there right. The seat belts will go right where they should. We're going to figure out what we're going to do with the inside of the roof. It'll probably just get a headliner. And like I said, this is an off-road truck. It's not going to be perfect.
but it's going to be, it's going to look good from a distance for sure, and it's going to look like a crew cab from a distance. And so as you see right now, it already looks like a crew cab from a distance. The other thing worth noting is the floors in the crew cabs are different than Suburbans. The braces are different, and the rear floors are different setup. They're not the same. So to make an exact clone with a Suburban into a crew cab and make an exact crew cab clone, you'd have to redo the roof, the inner structure above the doors. I don't even know how you'd manage to make that, right. And then, you'd have to do the tin inner side of the roof. You'd have to do the tin on the outside of the roof. And then the floor from the front seats back is different on Suburbans. So if you wanted to make an exact clone, you'd have to do a floor. And so it's a lot of work to make a perfect clone. But you could definitely build a decent crew cab, replica, but not necessarily a clone. And that's kind of what this is going to be. It's going to be kind of a replica. It'll look like a crew cab. It's built out of parts that were not very good. Like you say, the rockers are not good in this. This cab doesn't have rust, but it's had a rough life. So this was the perfect candidate to do exactly what this is going to be, because we aren't going to worry if we're going to get dents. We're not going to worry about imperfections. We want it to be presentable, but it doesn't have to be perfect. It's not a show truck. So that's where we're at on this one, and I think it looks pretty good. I'm really happy with it. I'm happy with the fit, and Ray will be back out and start doing some more work on it. But it was a lot of good progress we had today. I'm tired. I've been at it since like 6 o'clock this morning, working working out here at the yard, and I'm just tired. I'm beat. And so I've been working on the F650. We had a problem with we were missing power to the transmission control module, and so I tracked that down, and then I was getting ready to solder it, and then I got sidetracked with working on the off-road truck, because it's way more fun to work on. And so I did that for the last 7 hours. So I've been at it since like 6 this morning. So I think I'm gonna go get a nap and go to bed, get some sleep. And tomorrow morning I'm gonna finish up my 650, and I'll cut a video for you guys on that one. And we'll see about more work on the crew cab. We'll see about getting my crew cab in. We've got a lot done on everything else but my off-road truck, so I need to get it back in and see if we can't get some stuff done on it too. So for right now, thanks for watching. I've been working on the F650. I didn't do any video on it. I was going to, but it was a big pain, and I was by myself, and I really need to just get it done, get it out of the shop. Basically what it come down to is it was in second only limp mode and no speedometer. Basically I figured that I probably had a power problem with the TCM. I changed out the speed sensor and a few low-hanging fruit just to hopefully fix it, but it didn't. So basically I had to go in, pull the TCM, check the power to the TCM. The 12 volt constant power was not on for the TCM, transmission control module. So I had the wiring book for it, went through all the wiring, isolated it down to between 2 plugs on the harness from it draws power from battery 3 or whatever, the battery power, the battery, and it goes around underneath, back up over the top of the motor, and then back down to the transmission. There's a handful of connectors in there. I got it isolated between 2 of them. One's over by the starter, and the other one's on the top of the motor. Figured out we'd lost power somewhere between them 2 points. I have a tone tracer, and basically the way a tone tracer works is you plug it into the wire, or you can plug it in at the very beginning to start with, but I wanted to troubleshoot it. But you plug it into the wire. We plugged in at the connection down by the starter, separated the plug and plugged it in there, and then basically you take a tone tracer, which looks like a kind of a pen,
and it puts a tone through the wire, so you follow it down, and then basically it was bright, and it went really dim. And it was right behind the alternator. It went really dim, where there was a zip tie that holds the harness to the bracket for the alternator. And what had happened is, over time, the zip tied spot bracket right there had wore through into the harness and nicked the wire, and then the wire had corroded. It was all green in there, and slowly but surely it had corroded in half, and we lost power to the transmission control module. It was where you could see it easily, but it was not horribly great to get to, especially if we were, I've soldered another piece in. It wasn't that much fun, and it was dirty, and it's a diesel. But moral of the story is we got it fixed, the truck's back up and running. Took the opportunity to change out to a Android Auto or Apple CarPlay stereo so we could run our Onyx off-road in the tow truck. We did a handful of other little things, service the transmission, service the engine, changed out a leaky hydraulic hose that I've been wanting to do for a while. It was just really slow leak, but it was annoying. So I got a lot of stuff done that I wanted to do while I was waiting on the wiring schematic to come in and a handful of other things. But the F650 is back up and going again. Everything's good with it.